So one thing I've kind of talked about here lately, and a few people, I think they don't think about it, or maybe it's just not normally a concern, is you go through all the trouble to get the straightest shaft arrows, to get, you go through and make sure all your vein lengths are the same. You go through all this process, fletch your arrows, you fletch a dozen of them. Then you go out and shoot, and after you shoot them 4, 5, 6 times, you start noticing that you have a flyer that's kind of just keeps on going out there outside of where you're wanting to hit, outside of where your point of impact is. Well, one of the things that gets frustrating is, for me, is you go down there, you yank all your arrows, throw them back in your quiver, whatever. You shoot, and then maybe it don't happen. Then a couple ends later, it happens again, so on and so forth. So there's really a simple fix to that. As far as identifying the arrow, it's amazing. Just talking to people, I can't tell you how many people that I've told this to that they're like, "Oh my God, I never thought of that." So here in a second, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and it's something as simple as just numbering your arrows, or even going a little bit more bougie of a route if you are somebody who gets your arrows custom made, or if you're someone like myself that fletches their own arrows, buying numbered wraps. Okay guys, so here I've got a couple different arrows for a couple different builds that I did. So this one that's green and orange right here, this is it's one of my arrows off of the builds that I did for my triax that I have. And this is one, I retired it. It's got a little bit of a cut on there, but I use it for my blank belling and whatnot. But in any event, it's got a J on there. So I already had another set of arrows that was pretty much fletched the same way, and on those I numbered them. And on this set, I just lettered them, so like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth. So, when you're shooting, if you have a flyer, you can say, oh, okay, well, J hit outside. Then the next time you go around and you shoot, and J is outside again. You'll start noticing that when you number these and you start really paying attention to that number of arrow that it is, you'll find that sometimes it is just that arrow. Something is different with that arrow. Whether it be your flame config or your vein configuration, whether it be, knock position, knock tuning, something as simple as your knock could be just that much out of whack. It could be turned just enough to where maybe one of your veins is hitting your rest or hitting your cables or something. There's a whole plethora of stuff that could be causing that, but if you don't have them numbered or labeled, then you don't know which one it is all the time, and then you just have that one arrow that always seems to fly away or get outside of where you're aiming. So just, something as simple as throwing letters or numbers on each one of them solves that problem. You can go even as far, and this is kind of what I do nowadays. I have numbered wraps. So my wraps are numbered, and as you can see, this one's number 4, and they're just a simple way of doing it. That way they're numbered. This particular brand of wrap is from a company called One Stringer. I've used their stuff as almost the entire time I've been building my own arrows, to be honest with you. And I'm a firm believer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And their wraps have been consistent weight, consistent quality. I get the double dogs on there. It's like a protective coating on there so they don't fade. Just to kind of give you a little bit of an example, this is one without it. I don't know if you can see it, but see how on the seam there it's starting to kind of fade out a little bit. And granted, this arrow is pretty old. I mean, I've had this one probably for 4 or 5 years, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, this has no coating on it, And this one has the coating on it. So just kind of food for thought there on the wraps. But, the numbers are clearly defined. And it just helps you see, helps you gain some consistency on what your arrows are doing, if it's the same defect. So another thing you can do is spinning your arrows. If you have one that is, let's say for instance, just hypothetically here, J keeps flying out, right? Well, a lot of people, they spin their arrows for their broadheads, but they don't ever spin them when they first get them in, when they first buy some arrows. They don't spin them to see if they're straight. And so, as simple as throwing them here on your arrow spinner and just checking to see if the arrow's even straight at all. And it is imperative you do the backside too, especially if you get pre-cut arrows, if you have arrows that are already brand new, or not already brand new. If you buy arrows that are already fletched and everything, still check both sides, because man, if you just never know. I bought these are match grade Easton axes, and I had them cut. Before I get them cut, I will buy them and then I'll spin them and I'll see which side. I will take a silver Sharpie and mark it, and then I'll cut it. I'll cut off of the side that's got the oscillation in it from spinning. Just little wizardry things there. But anyways, spinning your arrows, even when you're just using field points, you can sometimes find that, oh wow, this arrow, J flies really weird all the time, and well, J's cricketer than all get out. It's, it's not straight at all from the get-go, so that's already going to cause me problems. So just little things like that, save you some time, effort, energy. Kind of give you an example of, I've got both of these, I got both of these pretty even, and you can see the factory labeling is slightly off on one versus the other. It's because of how I cut them. So just so you know, I'm just not talking all this. I actually cut these, and I do trim off from the side that is a little wonky on the roller. So just food for thought. Just a little tidbit and tip. So guys, like I was saying, the labeling and the numbering of your arrows it's not imperative. It's not something you have to do. It's something that you should do, in my opinion. It just helps you identify inconsistencies, and it helps you identify the arrow that has those inconsistencies. It also lets you, to me, it gives me peace of mind that I know that I can take, number 4 here out of my quiver, and I know that number 4 has drilled the center of the target every time I've drawn back and sent that arrow down. So it also kind of has a little bit of a psychological effect on you as well, as far as you knowing that there's no reason that arrow shouldn't perform the way that it needs to perform. And it also lets you know if that arrow is one that's you've been drilling the target with all summer, and then you draw back and you shoot and that arrow sails way high, you know that without a degree, with zero doubt that there's nothing wrong with that arrow, that it was a mechanical issue with whether it be your actual bow, your form, any of your technique, or your shot process being wrong. So it's just something to think about. It can be as simple as turning your nock. It can be as simple as that arrow, for whatever reason, you made them all the same and you put it in your bow and you shoot it a couple times, and for whatever reason, that one having that nock is turned just slightly different than the rest of them, and it's allowing your vein to contact like your breast or your cables or something of that nature. So it just comes down to the fine details of what you're doing. You know, and if you look at, you know, talking about your nocks being not in the right place, if you look at the profile of both of these veins here, these AE Max Hunters, they have a much higher profile than these fast fletches here. These are old school fast fletches. These are old. The fast fletch ones now actually have the logo on them. This is before they started putting the logo on. That's how many of them I had. Anyways, the profile heights on these are different. So I can get away with my nock not being 100% perfect on this one, but this one, if that nock alignment is not right, it's gonna hit those cables or that rest every time. So if you have it numbered and you see performance downrange that's consistent, you can narrow it down that that number has that issue, and you can start looking at it and you can investigate it. Oh wow, okay, it is turn a little bit. Oh, my fletching's off. Or oh, this one's actually an 1/8 inch shorter. Oh, I put the wrong fill point on. Any number of reasons can cause you to have an issue. The number just identifies the problem child arrow, and it makes it a lot easier instead of you throwing them in your quiver, picking one up and shooting it, and then hoping that you get that same arrow and then it has that same effect downrange. Anyways, hope this video helps you out a little bit. Hope you guys have a lot of fun shooting your bow. Remember, there's no bad day shooting a bow. And I hope they all sell good for you.